Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl album came out last week. I believe it was Friday. We're going to talk about it because this really is so inspiring as an entrepreneur. And there's so many different Taylor Swift type rabbit holes that we can go down. But there's actually one that I feel like is very meaningful to me and aligns with my core values and who I am as a person and who I am as a human being. And there's just so much that I want to unpack here and share with you. And I also have a update on my morning routine. If you've been around here for a while, you know that my morning routine is always changing. It's always evolving. And I'm always sharing about it because I think these are the real conversations that business owners need to be having, or high performers, anybody. There's just this stigma around, if you want to feel successful, get up early in the morning. And I've always kind of been the anti that. There's a lot there. If you've listened to all my different morning routines, then you know that I got something to share. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast, where your growth is our favorite topic. I'm Elizabeth Henson, and on this channel, we share behind the scenes of building a business using our community-based marketing and real-life lessons to make business easy and profitable. We help you combine your dharma, your skills, and your offers to build the business of your dreams on your terms. I don't give average business advice, I hate to tell you, but I'm here to help you unlock your superpowers that are already within you. So make sure you follow along, hit that subscribe button, and I promise you'll start becoming more magnetic and see your own community grow around your brand. All right, let's do it. Let's have a conversation about Taylor Swift and my morning routine update. Which one should we do first? Let's do the morning routine update because I know I'm going to forget. So over the summer, I was getting up at 6 o'clock every morning. This was a huge deal because I'm not a wake up early person, and I was walking, and I just shared about how motion and movement creates more movement and momentum in your business. And I learned so much from that. Not anything life-changing as far as exercise or even life-changing as far as getting up early. But I did notice a big difference. And when I move my body first thing in the morning, I get a lot of that groggy, lethargic energy out. And, I'm a 43-year-old woman. So anyone who's listening to me that's even remotely close to that age bracket and has kids, you probably understand how hard mornings can be. Our sleep is really unpredictable. And sometimes I sleep really great and sometimes I sleep really horrible. And it's very hard, to get up early. It's very challenging. Challenging is a better word, to get up early when we have all these different things going on with our kids and staying up late and not getting enough sleep. And I really am someone who values sleep. And I learned over the summer that getting too much sleep is actually a thing. And I really enjoyed getting up at 6, going for my walk, having that time to myself before the kids went to school. That being said, I knew this was all going to change when my kids went back to school, because I'm like, the mornings are going to look completely different. And eventually it's going to be cold and dark outside. So I gave myself some time when the kids went back to school. I was still walking a little bit in the mornings, getting back in time to help them get ready. But knowing in the back of my mind, this is not sustainable to do while they're in school for a lot of reasons that we really don't need to get into. But I think it's just very seasonal for me. I'm not going to be out here walking when it's freezing cold. That's just not going to happen. So I have decided that I am going to still wake up early, which I have been waking up early so that I'm awake before I need to actually do anything as a mom for my kids. Keep that going, have my quiet time, my meditation time, my wake up time, but I'm actually going to be exercising from 8 to 8:30 every single morning, non-negotiable. My meetings don't usually start till 10. It's only day 2, but this is going to work for the next season of life. And I'm sharing this because a lot of you guys follow me on Instagram, and I was sharing my morning walks in an inspiring quote every single day. And I know that just all of a sudden stopped. And I just wanted to update you that this is what we're doing now. And for anybody that listened to my morning routine in a box. That is a wonderful episode on, if you're kind of not a morning person, how to still get that anchoring routine in your day. That's what I was doing when I was literally sleeping until the last second possible, but I still had what I called my morning routine in a box. It's a great episode. I highly recommend it if you're someone that's just trying to find your routines and your ability to ground and stay centered and stay inspired. And then I did another episode about getting up early over the summer. And again, I'm sharing these things in real time. I'm not someone who's looking back and saying, getting up at 6 a.m. for the last 10 years of my life has been the change that I needed. No, it's seasonal. I'm a manifesting generator. I don't do anything the same for 10 years. Like, it's just not happening. I loved being a high school teacher, and there was no part of me that was like, I'll do this for the rest of my life, ever, as much as I loved it in the beginning. So I just know that that's who I am. And I've learned to really lean into that about myself and know that I have different habits and different patterns and motivations in different seasons. And it's not about resisting that. It's about leaning in and using it to the best of my advantage. So what is priority number one? Priority number one for me is that I maintain a good relationship with time and a good relationship with exercise. And I'm constantly exploring those two relationships so that I can get the most out of myself without that force, without having to have this like crazy intense willpower. Old me would have been like, you've got to get up and go to the gym, or you're not going to be successful, or you're not doing what you said you were going to do. And it's like, no, I get to embrace the fact that my workouts are going to be looking different in different seasons. Plus, as much as I love my morning walks and my morning jogs, I need to be lifting weights. It's just the reality of what's healthiest for my body. So that's, another reason for the shift. So that's neither here nor there. I know why you're really here to listen to this episode is about Taylor Swift. So let me jump right into it. Remember, if you're on YouTube, this is a podcast. So this is a podcast, which is why I tend to ramble a little bit more than a perfectly curated YouTube video. So thanks for being here. Either way, those strategies are always fun. All right, let's talk about Taylor Swift. A couple years ago, I'm going to share like kind of a heartfelt, passion thing first. A couple years ago, my daughter, she was probably like 6 at the time. She's 9 now. Another girl told her that Taylor Swift is a bad person when my daughter was like, oh, like, I love Taylor Swift. I love Taylor, listening to her music in the car. And this girl looked over at her and was like, Taylor Swift is a bad person. And it took my daughter a few months to come to me and say, Mom, so-and-so told me that Taylor Swift is a bad person. Like, she was so confused. And, of course, this is like just political yuckiness. But I remember, seeing things at the time about like how men were so upset that Taylor Swift was at the football games and getting all the attention. And this was another, I think, 7-year-old girl saying this to my daughter. It wasn't a man upset about Taylor taking football time. It was another little girl like shaming my daughter for liking Taylor Swift. And when I tell you I had like a very frustrated feeling in my body, not because I'm here to be like, Taylor Swift is correct and amazing. I do think she's an incredible leader, but that's my opinion. I don't expect everyone to hold that same opinion, but for a girl to shame another girl for looking up to a musician, what do you think a 6-year-old is really processing about that, right? That success is not safe. That when we follow our dreams, it's not safe. That's what a 6-year-old's little brain and little body is going to take away from that. People aren't going to like me if I succeed at what I truly love. And that's the part of it that is really just a damn shame. sure, if you don't love Taylor Swift's lyrics or if you don't think she's a great role model, don't instill that in your kids who are going to be around other kids. I'm not shaming, or my kids aren't shaming other kids for liking a certain type of music. In fact, I, as their mom, would never shame them for liking a certain kind of music. My kids watch some weird stuff. They listen to some weird stuff, but at the end of the day, it's self-expression and they have to be on their own journey of self-discovery, and we have to support them in that. And it was that moment where I was like, I am going to learn more about Taylor Swift. I'm going to get curious. And I can't find anything bad, y'all, that makes her a bad person. I can't find it. Right? And there's controversies and there's politics, and we don't necessarily need to get into all that. But I think as an entrepreneur and as a mom who's raising little creative leaders that can do anything they want to do and be anything they want to be, I think Taylor Swift is pretty awesome. And before this, I wasn't necessarily a Swiftie. I knew who she was. I honestly just wasn't really paying attention. She wasn't super on my radar. But I can't remember if it was before this or after this, but I watched the Netflix documentary about Taylor. And there was something in my entrepreneurial spirit that really connected with watching her process and watching how much she loves what she does. And that's when I started to say, this woman is a badass. Like, love her or hate her, when you watch her process, when you watch her doing her work and showing up the way that she does, you can't not respect that. Like, holy moly. So then I started to pay attention again, still not like obsessing over her music or anything, but Life of a Showgirl just came out. And again, I wasn't super invested until I heard that there was going to be the movie premiere party thing to go along with it. And I was like, oh my God, this will be so fun to take my daughter to. And I got tickets and I said, okay, now that I've got tickets to this, I want to listen to the album so that I actually can identify with the music at the premiere party thing. You can tell I'm like kind of like not a pure Swiftie because I don't even know what to call these things. I'm really not as musically literate and intelligent as my husband and my oldest daughter are either. So I'm trying, y'all. I speak entrepreneur. I don't speak music. So as soon as the album was released, my middle daughter, Maddie, and I started just listening to all the songs. And I was like, ooh, now I'm like starting to look into the meanings of the songs. And I'm like, this is so cool. This is so fun. And I love it. I love every single song on the album. I'm so obsessed. We went to the premiere party. And again, it's like watching Taylor Swift in her process was so inspiring. I'm like getting emotional anytime someone really chases their dreams. I get emotional about it. And I don't know if it's because it's so deeply connected to who I am and to my dharma in itself. I get really emotional when I see someone doing what they love, what they really love, and what they're on this planet to do, and going all in. And that's what she does. She goes all in. And I came home from that over the weekend and I was thinking and feeling inspired. And I'm like, how can I bring the energy that Taylor brings into her craft and the commitment? How can I bring that into my craft, into what I'm doing? And I don't really know the answer to that yet. I mean, I'd like to think I'm already doing that in a lot of ways. I mean, we just surpassed 200 episodes on the podcast, and like it really doesn't even feel like anyone's listening half the time. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty darn committed to what I'm doing. But I think the important piece here as someone obsessed with leadership is asking ourselves those types of questions. The question of, how can I be as committed to my craft as Taylor Swift is to music? That is a powerful question. And what's possible for us as humans and business owners is really determined by those powerful questions that we're willing to ask ourselves. So if you ask yourself that question, even if the answer doesn't seem obvious or right in front of you, the exploration and the curiosity is going to take you somewhere. It's going to take you 1% farther than the moment before you asked yourself that question. So have some fun with that. Ask yourself, how can I bring the commitment and the energy and the love into what I'm doing at the same capacity that Taylor Swift does to music? It's going to look different for us. We're not all going to be celebrities, but we can be that committed to the thing that we love. So I wanted to go through a few bullet points on about Taylor Swift and being an entrepreneur as I was just writing down some notes and journaling about this. And one thing that I really love about Taylor is like her power of reinvention. And my creative director and I talk about this all the time. Shout out to Ilya. She loves evolution. And we love this idea of branding as we go. So there's no like pause button, let's go rebrand, and then come back and like start over. We're doing it as we go. And you can even see that here on my podcast, on the YouTube channel. We're always making changes. We're always evolving the brand. We're evolving the camera equipment. We're evolving the podcasting equipment. It's not about being perfect. It's about just showing up consistently and getting a little bit better. And so we're all going to pivot, or I like to say elevate instead of pivot, outgrow an old version of our business. And the reinvention consistently is so much more powerful than like starting over. It's honoring who we're becoming. It's honoring what we're learning. And Taylor is such a good example of just that constant reinvention that feels like evolution. It doesn't feel like quitting and coming back. And there's a big difference there. Another thing that I was thinking about is just mastering something, right? Taking control of your business the same way that she took control of owning her albums, right? There's this like power in that. Rather than outsourcing and delegating your power, you can own everything that you do. And this comes up for me a lot in the way that I help people is about uncovering what's already within them, not this like step by step, check the same boxes I checked, do everything the same way I did it. Like if you were like, hey, Liz, I want to start a podcast, I'm not going to be like, okay, well, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. I'm going to say, just start recording yourself and learn as you go. And we don't want to delegate our power. We can delegate to-dos and tasks, but we don't necessarily want to give away what makes ourselves us. And I feel like that's really the whole ownership of her albums thing. There was like some boss energy in that, right? Another thing, which I'm surprised I didn't lead with this one, but Taylor does an incredible job of building community. It's not just a fan base. I mean, look at the Swifties. Look at the way that they show up for her. This is momentum. This isn't a sales funnel. This is connection. This is conversations. This is an economy around her movement, her mission. So where in your business can you create a movement? Can you lean into the way people feel and having them feel like they're a part of something bigger? And that's like my community building 101 is how can your presence, your business make people feel like they're part of something bigger? That's how you become magnetic. That's how you really attract people to your brand, is by constantly reminding them that it's bigger than them. And that's why people stick around for what I do. not because I'm helping one person, but I truly believe the world becomes a better place when we do what we love and make a living doing it. Okay. Another one is her ability to be authentic, right? Like she has this transparency in her storytelling. Oh my gosh, the Ruin the Friendship song wrecked me. And I know she was pulling some inspiration from her real life, but we have all been in that moment. And like watching her in these interviews and how unscripted and authentic she is, there's something really cool about that. And I keep looking and listening to the lyrics in her songs. And I'm like, how can I do something like that in my business? And that's part of what inspired this episode of like, I've never really told the story publicly. I mean, maybe a little bit in my Instagram stories or something, but I've never really made a big deal of the story of the girl who shamed my daughter for liking Taylor Swift. And if I was a songwriter, I could write a song about that, right? But I'm not a songwriter, so I'm here telling you about it on the podcast. That's all I got for you right now. But there's something really incredible about her vulnerability and authenticity. And I think we can all learn a little bit from watching that and how she pairs it with her professionalism. She's really got both going on. Whereas I feel like when she was younger, she really leaned into like, get everything right, be professional. And now that she's in her 30s, she's really finding her own power and her own voice. And speaking of that, I think she's an incredible example of feminine leadership, especially in a masculine industry. And we talk a lot in business and energetics about the masculine and the feminine. And I think the most successful people can really master both. And she's such a good example of that, of not having to choose between your heart and your passion and your purpose and strategy. She has both. And we need both. We can't be all intuition and heart. We have to have some strategy and some consistency. And she does such a good job at doing both. And then the next one is that Taylor just plays the long game. Like when I was really journaling about how can I bring this type of energy into my business, and I'm like, it didn't happen overnight. This is longevity. This is going from 200 podcast episodes to 400 podcast episodes, and then from 400 podcast episodes to 800 podcast episodes, or whatever that looks like. Longevity. Knowing that you're going to show up regardless of the outcome. Taylor would have showed up for this album even if her fans were like, whoops, that wasn't great. We don't love that. She already showed up. It's already done, right? She was so committed to the journey and the process that the outcome took care of itself. So playing that long game, continuing to surprise people, surprise and delight. I mean, the movie premiere I think it was really outside the box. Maybe that's a normal thing. I don't know. I don't pay attention to the music industry enough. And then, of course, just continuing to like be a leader and really embody some incredible modeling values, right? The way that she treats her team in the public eye. I'm not going to pretend to know everything, but what we see is her shining the light on other people. What we see is her advocating for the industry and for other artists and, shining the light on others. And it's not about saying the right things. It's about embodying those actions. And in my opinion, Taylor checks all those boxes. And I'm not here to be like, oh, she's perfect. And I'm not here to call in all the Taylor Swift haters. We are all looking at the world through our own unique lens. And as an entrepreneur who is incredibly dedicated and passionate to the work that I do, and I have been for a decade, I can look at what she has built and be like, this is incredible. And I'm older than she is, right? So it's not even about when we get started. I get so inspired by like some of the women that didn't even get found out about until their 50s. I'm like, there's still a chance. We got this. We're just going to keep showing up and putting one foot in front of the other. And we're going to keep pivoting our morning routines. And that's okay. And I will be here to share that messy journey with you guys. That's what this podcast is all about. Is I think these real-time conversations are so important. And that doesn't mean that I'm here sharing my dirty laundry or coming to you guys in crisis, but I can come to you guys with uncertainty, with I'm still learning. That's what makes this podcast so great, is it's like I'm reading the chapter and sharing it with you guys, and we're having a discussion. And that's what masterminds do. This can be like your mastermind podcast. I just want you guys can engage back. Send me an email, find me on Instagram, Elizabeth.Henson, or write in the comments here. Or if you're listening to the podcast, like, please, please, please send me a note and let's continue this conversation. So I'm going to leave you with that journal prompt of how can you bring the same type of commitment and positive energy and just like that 10 out of 10 energy that Taylor brings into your own business. Sure, we're in a different industry. Sure, we're doing things differently, but there's an element of being unapologetic to what she's doing. There's not letting fear drive the bus, not fear of what people think, not fear of the outcome, just going all in on the vision. So get out there, my friends. Go chase your vision. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for being here and pushing play today. It absolutely means the world that you have found this podcast or found this YouTube channel, and we wouldn't exist without you. So if you're curious about finding your next step in business, don't forget to take our next step action quiz at elizabethhenson.co/next. And if you love this podcast or you love this channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, or leave us a review. It truly means everything. And if you have a question or a barrier in your business, we are starting a new series where we're going to be coaching live on air and taking questions and using them as inspiration for the podcast. All you have to do to submit your question, or if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, is go to elizabethhenson.co/ask. Again, that is specifically if you are open to being vulnerable and sharing about your business and being coached live on air. We hope to hear from you. All right, I'll see you guys next week.